Okay, so as you guys can see, this is not my normal setup. I'm traveling, but am delivering videos as promised because we have to do battle with not just the forces of communism, but the degeneracy that is gripping modern women. This is an epidemic, guys, and every time you talk to, especially young women, about motherhood or anything resembling conservative values, what you get is a very steep pushback. And it's something like, the architecture of everything that is coherent is inherently oppressive and masculine and patriarchal. By the way, speaking of single mothers, there is a cat right here. I am not actually in the dwelling place of a single mother, but this is a cat. Hello, cat. Yes. You were lucky because you were not purchased by a single mom. Many other cats, of course, are not that lucky, but as we can see here, 45% of women are estimated to be single and childless by the year 2030. This is, of course, a problem from the perspective of birth rates, but also a problem from the perspective of ruining the lives of countless women who think that to have a family is to give into some sort of oppression and patriarchal system. There's actually been a tremendous amount of research done by financial institutions to understand the future that women are going to be having. So I think it was Morgan and Stanley said that by the year 2045, 50% of women are going to be single and childless. And that maps onto this where they say in 2030, it's going to be 45%. Try to think about what this means. It means that half of the women you see at Costco, at the store, walking around, do not plan to have kids. Something that 99.9% of women since the beginning of time have done. And this comes, of course, with the rise of feminism and the demonization of anything that is coherent, logical, rational, because those things discriminate between better and worse. And the more you talk to people, the more you realize that things that make sense are becoming unpopular. It doesn't matter what the position is. And a perfect embodiment of this is this video of Sneako talking to Chian Reynolds. Chian Reynolds, who at this point is essentially eggless, is a woman who used to be on a show called Grilling. Very ironically, it was called Grilling, considering that she was the one getting grilled the entire time. But throughout the entire show, it was framed as though it was a dating show where men would try to qualify themselves to the woman. But every single man that went on there was a high status, in high demand millionaire who essentially told Cheyenne over and over again, every single guy that went on would tell Cheyenne that she doesn't measure up to them and they're not interested in her. This happened repeatedly over and over again, with the rare exception of men who were trying to, just sort of be funny and play games. But that's the show this lady comes from. So Cheyenne actually comes from a background where she's used to seeing the preferences of high status men, which invalidate the female doctrine of, just be a boss queen, because over and over again she's told by these guys that are high status and universally cross-culturally desired by women, yeah, I want a woman who is feminine. Don't want a woman who's argumentative. I want her to be fit. I want her to, not resent masculinity. I want her to have a family. The list goes on. Every single time she would try to challenge him and be like, oh, well, do you accept feminism? Well, what if I wanted to wear a short dress alone with my girlfriends in Miami without you for 3 days in a row? And there's like, but why would I put up with that? So she has been bombarded with reality, is what I'm saying. She's been bombarded with accountability in the form of masculinity, which is one of the most common forms of accountability that women face, and also why they're attracted to masculinity, by the way. Anyway, check out this video because it's crazy.
Would you rather have a Christian son or a gay son?
Dude. Bro, Sneako's delivery is pretty funny sometimes. Knowing that she cannot give a straight answer. Because again, that would be giving into coherence. That would be giving into objectivity. And that, of course, is considered oppression. This video's at 150,000 views, by the way.
Either. I'm okay.
What would you prefer?
Either. I'm okay. If I were to answer the question, I'd have to use logic and rationality and say something's better than something else. But I'm a postmodernist who has been bombarded with literally accountability, so I can't say the truth. Bro, this is the mental state of most women that you hear from. Sneako is laughing at her because he knows that what she just did is a deliberate lie. And she knows that what she just did is a deliberate lie because she would clearly prefer one over the other. And I'm not saying which is better for obvious reasons. This is YouTube. But she knows what she would prefer. But she can't say it because that would be giving in to logic. Guys, I want you to understand it's actually on that level. The warfare is on the level of one side doesn't even believe in logic. It's not that they don't want to use logic. It's that they don't believe it exists. Look, even this cat is more capable of logic than most liberals these days, because the liberal position is one of postmodernism, which states there's no better and worse way of interpreting the world. Because if you say there's a better way of interpreting the world, you have to then say, how do I tell what's better and what's worse? And then you use systems of objectivity, which is oppression, because objectivity discriminates between more coherent and less coherent ways of viewing the world. Of course, coherence and using logic, reason, rationality, mental scrutiny, etc. This is how we built things. This is how we built civilization. This is how we built laws and justice and rocket ships and iPhones and technology. But if women had their way, if postmodernism had come a couple hundred years sooner, we wouldn't have gone to the moon. We wouldn't have society. We wouldn't have all of these things that have made life easy to the point where we can have, I'll be honest, predominantly women saying, oh, but logic and rationality, that's just oppression. That's indoctrinate. You're being indoctrinated to oppress me. And you're seeing it here proven to you where she can't even acknowledge what is objectively true.
A son that actually can be respectful and be very loving to the world.
That's not an answer to the question. He didn't ask you, would you want a son that's respectful? He asked you a binary question. So she's saying something that's basically completely unrelated. If you were to look at this in a test situation, or if you're just asking somebody to answer a question, this is not only not answering the question. This is not only failing to answer the question correctly, but it's like writing 0 instead of a number.
If he was all those things, respectful.
So he's asking her again, and he's being very generous to her, saying, "Okay, I'll give you that they're both respectful," even though he should just repeat the question, considering that what she did is a logic fail and intellectually incoherent. But he's being nice to her. He's asking it in a different way that is more pleasing to the feminine psyche. Let's see if she can answer.
Loving, masculine, these things. Would you prefer that he were gay or Christian?
Either.
Again, she can't answer. It's such a simple question. And there's really, if we're being liberal about this, there's no right and wrong answer. She could say A or she could say B, but she's saying neither, because that would be making a statement about what is better. Now, on one level, it's that you could say femininity doesn't want to do warfare on the battlefield of ideas. But this isn't about... But she's not doing this because of femininity. She's doing this because an ideology is gripping her mind. It is possessing her to the point where she can't answer a question. Because even engaging in the landscape of answering questions is oppression.
The answer.
No, it's not. But for me,
it's not. No, I genuinely can't think. I don't know what's better.
Genuinely, I accept people for who they are.
Would you?
So that's wrong, because you would not accept, let's say, a certain man that was taking power in Germany in 1941. You should not accept who he was. You should not accept who, a dictator from the Soviet Union was. There are many forms of humanity that you should not accept. This is very obvious. But see, that requires an acknowledgement of objective parameters that, again, it's not even that they're disagreeing with us. It's that they don't believe in truth, guys. They don't believe in objective parameters. There's a lot of squirrels playing outside in the woods. As a matter of fact, a 5-year-old that is just asking questions about the world is already ahead of most leftists who have had their ability to think robbed from them. When a child asks, why is the grass green, or why does the moon shine at night, they are already leagues ahead of a person that says there's no such thing as truth. Because in the formulation of a question, the expectation is that something is right or wrong, is that something is better or worse than something else. So in a very real sense, the failure of these people is actually not even juvenile. It's a form of cognitive illiteracy. Meaning you can't even use your brain. It doesn't even function.
Rather have a Christian son or...
I accept people for who they are.
That's literally incoherent and wrong. And what's totally absurd about that statement is she has proven that she does it on every single show, because every single time a millionaire tries to exercise, his preferences on her, she's like, oh, well, I don't like that. And at the end of her show, she literally rates men on a scale of 1 to 10 about how much she liked them. So this is not true. She doesn't just accept people for how they are. She literally rates them on a scale of 1 to 10. But that's using logic. That's using coherence. I just thought in a vector that they don't even practice thinking in. There's no such thing as hypocrisy to them, because there's no such thing as coherence. This is actually the level that most leftists think on. And it's taking hold to the point where this is now the norm. Logic is oppression to these insane lunatics. Chian Reynolds proves she can't think yet again and embarrasses herself. What's truly bizarre and worrying is that most women, again, because of this statistic right here, think very similarly to her. They think that they don't have to apply logic and rationality to the way they live their lives. Now, this was acceptable, when women still wanted to get married to men, because masculinity is an apparatus for interpreting the world objectively, and so through men, women would live functional lives. But with the demonization of men, they've essentially removed their ability to mesh themselves with a coherent way of viewing the world, and so every single thing they say is deliberately designed to be the antithesis of what coherence is, because again, coherence is the enemy to them. So they say the opposite of it. If you were to ask a feminist what is the correct way of living, they would give you the opposite of what the correct way to live is, out of nothing but pure spite for objective reality and objective frameworks. Because objectivity discriminates between better and worse, and has since, of course, the beginning of time. Oh, but civilization is oppression. What do you mean you build civilization because you were able to use math, logic, reason, rationality, and coherence? Oh my gosh, oppression.
Health at all sizes.
Be sure to subscribe to the channel.